things happen, and
things happen.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? Although I do feel bad about our previous guest, Karen Green, who was wonderful. I absolutely loved her.
Yes.
I don't know what was going on. I don't know if I was having a senior moment. We're going to let you into the workings of SETI BIMCO. I know you edited it, but I'm going to own up to it because I wonder if she walked away and thought, why was he calling me? Apparently I was calling Karen Linda a couple times is what you're telling.
Only twice.
And I'm just acknowledging it because I wonder if she got up and goes, why is that guy calling me Karen or Linda? I don't know.
Do you know Linda? Aunt Linda?
I know several Lindas, but I don't know why. I do know one Linda who is also Jewish. So okay. Am I saying that all Jewish women look alike to me? I mean, I don't. That would be wrong. Very, I don't know.
Very racist.
It's the SETI BIMCO Show with your hosts, Tim and John. In fact, it's SETI Summer Camp BIMCO Month. Basically, SETI BIMCO is always like being at a summer camp because when it's on the air, you hear crickets.
It's a SETI BIMCO show, John. It's a SETI BIMCO show. The show where we look back at the travesties and humor of high school and movies of questionable taste that involve high schoolers. And this is the 24th episode and it's summer SETI Camp BIMCO month. This is I guess it's our last summer camp.
Well, I don't know.
We watched Poison Ivy. We talked with Karen a little bit about summer camp, and then we watched this movie called Summer Camp. It's basically a porno. We'll get to that. It's basically soft porn.
And sometimes not so soft.
Okay. All right.
So what did you do with yourself last week, Tim, after John Hinckley canceled his concert?
I sent you that email too, and you sent it to me.
And I sent it. Yeah. You know what? I saw the email finally. I don't know. But yeah, John.
I would be terrified.
They were sold out shows, Tim. I told you they would be sold out shows. Or
the
maybe,
whole time, I'd just be thinking, who's here with a gun? Who's here? Who's on Molly? And they have a gun.
Well, maybe they're taking into consideration all the shootings lately. I don't know. Maybe
that's exactly.
Maybe they're thinking, don't tempt fate. But he had 3 concerts canceled: one in Chicago, one in Connecticut, and now Brooklyn. And the promoters look. Do you know what I think it was though? Do you remember when we were watching Patty Duke Still Rockin' in Brooklyn Heights, and Cindy Williams as Sue Ellen hacked the computer system and made it look like that the basketball game was sold out? I think Jodie Foster.
Right.
I think Jodie Foster got somebody to hack the
whatever. Does she have a granddaughter? That would be
I know she got kids. Maybe I think what she did was she hacked StubHub or something, whoever was, running this Live Nation or whoever, and made it appear that John Hinckley's show was sold out. I guess in the end, Jodie Foster got the last laugh.
I would just be afraid to go. Like I said, how many Dave Matthews fans are here? And
well, that's enough to scare the bejesus out of you.
The guy I talked about last week I saw on the subway with no belt and a baby doll, I bet you he'd be there.
He probably. He might have been the opening act.
I have a few questions for you to catch up on. Remember a few weeks ago I mentioned that Carlton the Doorman had his own pilot. Did you ever watch that? I sent it to you.
I was re-listening to our episode with the people where you were talking about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I never watched that.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll watch it someday for an episode.
Maybe we could. Yeah, maybe we could. That would be... Maybe we could get a guest to watch it with us, and we could just all talk about it.
Yeah. I don't know who that would be. Who's going to watch that? It's terrible. I saw part of it. I turned it off.
I don't know. I will watch it. And I'll probably watch it all the way through and go, why didn't this get picked up as a series?
So did you have any thoughts this week?
No, none whatsoever.
What? You always have thoughts. You said you went out the other night.
Oh, I just met up with some people. No, I just met up with some people. What I was going to do is because, again, we're letting you behind the scenes of SETI BIMCO. I was having these technical issues last week, and Tim and I were planning on just getting together, this week we either do this on a Monday night or a Wednesday night, depending on our schedules. And so this week we're doing this on a Wednesday night, but we were going to get together for 5 minutes on Monday just to make sure everything was kosher. And
I like to say hunky dory, John.
Hunky dory. There you go. Peachy, ducky. So I had a couple of people that I know, and they were like, hey, you want to meet up tonight? And we're going to meet up, blah, 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 such and such a place. And I was like, you know what? I work all the time. Like, I do not get a day off. Like, sometimes I'll take a Tuesday night off from the part-time job. But I work the part-time job evenings, Monday to Friday, and then my full-time day job is Thursday to Monday. So I just sent Tim a quick text, and I was like, look, and I was off the next day from the day job, and I was like, hey, would you be terribly upset with me if we just did this all on Wednesday? Mm-hmm. And what I was going to text was, and you were like, oh, sure, no problem. Have a good time. And what I was going to text was,
I was punching my
because
pillow.
they've rescheduled John Hinckley's concert up here in Auburn, and I'm going to go see it. But then I thought, there is such thing as taking a joke too far. And then I was like, no, he's going to tell everybody in Brooklyn, John Hinckley, they put the show upstate. Yeah, my friend John's going to see it tonight. And I was like, and then have Tim talk about it for 2 nights to everybody he knows. And then Wednesday I'd be like, oh, Tim, no, I was totally jerking your chain. I just couldn't do it. No, I know when not to take a joke too far, and that would have been.
The John Hinckley show is all the buzz here in Brooklyn.
Is it really?
All the buzz.
Well, now that is it canceled or is it postponed? What was the wording they used? He said they're looking for another venue. So I'm guessing.
I would like to know the demographics of who bought those tickets. Are they hipster kids or are they 50-year-olds who are like, hey, I remember this guy from his hits in the 80s. Yeah. No one's going to hear his music.
Yeah. And then it brings up the questions like, what if that bullet had like gone 1 inch to the left or to the right or whatever direction would have gone? Like, history would have been changed.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that was just.
We were there.
We were there
in school when you heard it.
Because it was like Reagan and then the Pope, like within a month of each other or a month and a half or something. They were very, very close together.
If the internet was around back then, that would be a whole conspiracy.
That would be a whole conspiracy theory. Alex Jones would have something to say about that.
Well, I don't have too much else to say about my week. We rode to Coney Island here in Brooklyn. They have pretty good bike lanes, and you can ride to Coney Island on a bike lane pretty much all the way from Prospect Park. So we did that, but I always want to get out to go biking. My favorite thing.
Do it while you can.
Yeah.
How long will you bike into the fall?
Are you saying I'm old? What are you talking about?
No. I meant weather. I'm talking weather.
Are you threatening me?
I'm talking
Do
weather.
it before John comes here.
Although, as long as we are talking about age, and then I was listening to our episode of The People, and like I told you 3 times when you asked, who's the one who said she didn't kill anyone? I'm like, Leslie Van Houten. And I'm like, yeah, but there was something. I'm like, Leslie Van Houten. And then like 5 minutes later, you go, yeah, but there was somebody who said she did. I was like, Leslie Van Houten.
Yes.
So eventually this is going to be, I don't know how long we can do this because I think we're both turning into old men, because eventually the name of this podcast will be SETI BIMCO. Hey, you kids, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
But I was listening back to that. And talking about a scene. I don't even remember recording that episode. I mean, I did remember recording the episode once I heard it. But then you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot to edit The People. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't remember this. I don't know what The People are. What the hell are you talking about?
A friend texted me and said, oh, I was laughing at your haggis jokes. And I'm like, I don't remember haggis jokes. I don't know what they were.
I did remember the haggis jokes from Patty Duke. I did remember those.
Well, we fixed your problems anyway.
Yeah, I think we're doing okay. It sounds like we're like okay, okie dokie, hunky dory.
We got, I think our producer, Miss Lee, she said you were having a problem with your camera. Why was there a problem with his camera?
This is your producer, Miss Lee. John, your camera broke down because you're a Pisces.
Yeah. It's our low self-esteem issues or something. I don't know.
I guess we should get to this movie. It's just a framework for jokes.
I say let's get to it and get it over with.
Welcome to the wildest, hottest vacation ever. Summer camp. These are not just campers, they're animals. And this is not just a camp, it's a zoo. Because whatever turns you on turns into a party. Come on, join the action and enjoy the laughs. Send yourself to summer camp. It'll flip your toga. Rated R.
I'm going to read the synopsis.
Oh, you've got a
quick
synopsis. Okay, all right.
I stole it from online, John.
Okay.
So the director of a failing summer camp decides to invite campers from 10 years ago for a free weekend event, hoping that he can trick them into fixing the place up and also get their families to provide them some financial support. So did you even realize that was the plot? I guess we did. That was
plot. Well, okay. Well, see, I came up with my own synopsis, Tim. Do you mind if I read it?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So here's my synopsis. Opening dilemma, come up with scheme. Lewd sexual joke, bare breast, crass sexual joke, gratuitous sex scene, bare breasts, lewd sexual joke, gratuitous sex scene, bare breasts, cheesy song around campfire, bare breasts, lewd sexual joke, gratuitous sex scene, bare breasts, full frontal nudity, people hook up, and problem solved at the end. That's my synopsis of it.
Oh, you're forgetting. I think they impersonated. They did a little Steve Martin bit there at the end.
They did. I caught that. Yes, they did. They did. I did catch that. Yeah,
it's close as you're going to get to any kind of literary. Literary what? Anyway,
you threw me there because literary and this movie just do not fit in the same sentence. That kind of threw me for a loop. But no, go ahead.
So yeah, 1979. Mm-hmm. Filmed on film stock that they'd left. They'd found this movie in the bottom of a basement.
Yes.
After Larry Hagman had urinated on it. It's a very quality film stock. And the only person I recognize is Walter.
Olkowitz? Olkowitz?
Yeah. He was in Twin Peaks. He was in a sitcom, Grace Under Fire.
Oh, he was in tons of things. He did Twin Peaks. He did Seinfeld. He did Grace Under Fire. He did a lot of stuff. But he's not using that name in this movie.
That's true. I noticed that. He confused me when I looked it up. His name was Harry something, right?
Ray Holland.
Ray Holland. Okay.
And this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the agent at the time said, "You are never going to get hired with a name like Walter Olkowitz. You need to change that name. You're going to change that name. It's going to be Ray Holland, and watch, the work will start coming through." And he changed his name to Ray Holland, and the only work he ever got was summer camp.
Did he change his name back?
Yeah, he did change his name back too. Well, apparently, though, wait a second here, because I think what was I saying? He also used the name Ray Holland in a movie as late as 1992, though, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway.
Well, he's the only person in this movie I've seen more than once, although I think you've seen some people some other places. You hinted at last week.
No, I was totally confused. Because I honestly thought I thought this was going to be okay. So I got totally confused because I saw the trailer and saw somebody, but it was not who I thought it was. So summer camp.
It's okay.
AKA an hour and 38 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Directed by Chuck Vincent, who is known for his, are you ready for this? His X-rated comedies.
No.
This camp was called Camp Malibu.
Malibu.
Steve Zuckerman did the music. He also did music for Winnie the Pooh and DuckTales. There's someone.
I'm guessing Disney did. I'm guessing Disney didn't dig too deep in his resume and found this. Is what I'm guessing. Because I'm thinking they wouldn't have hired him. This
movie's confusing and disturbing on a few levels. In that, when he has all these people come back, in my mind, they were all adults. There's a guy. They got all these characters. Like a guy's got a motorcycle. One guy's got a van. There are people that show up on a bus.
Yeah. A school bus.
But I'm like, oh, they're adults now. They're coming back to work on the camp. There's one lady, Stevie Nicks, gets dropped off by a guy with a fancy collectible car.
Yeah.
Did you think instantly Stevie Nicks, this woman?
No, I didn't. I just thought Tramp.
No?
I just thought
You
Tramp.
thought what?
I just thought Tramp. I just thought older man, sexual favors, Tramp.
All right.
That's all I thought. But okay, so before we get too far into this, the idea is that the camp is failing financially, and the camp director pulls out. He goes, and I've got a list of all the alumni that have been to this camp, but it's one sheet of paper, and it's not even both sides. It's just one side. I'm like, well, I think maybe you've been in. If your entire alumni list only takes up one sheet of paper on one side, I think you've been having financial difficulty since the day you opened the doors.
Good catch, John.
That's what I thought. I mean, how much would it have
You're
been
paying
to put?
attention to this.
How much would it have been to put 4 or 5 sheets of paper? I mean, how much would
they're on a
that?
tight
How much would
budget.
that? How much would that have added to the budget?
But the camp owner's Henry, and they basically introduced all these stereotypical characters for the campground. Mm-hmm. The camp owner got sunglasses guy who owns a van, got motorcycle cool guy, got rich dude dropped off his girlfriend Stevie Nicks. I swear she looked like Stevie Nicks to me. They got the terrible cook lady who's always angry all the time and can't cook very well. They got the serial killer cook lady guy assistant. They got a mime. That's the regular character that usually shows up at summer camp. They got the lady who likes to work on car engines. They got Horse, the John Belushi character.
Mm-hmm. Played by Walter Olkowitz.
Yes. They got the girl who keeps severed fingers in a jar. They have a guy who sleeps handcuffed to his bed because he kills people in his sleep. Mm-hmm. They got the girl who makes shirts out of human hair. Mm-hmm. They got a hobbit. They have a stoner who also does mushrooms and also does heroin and also steals all the jars filled with severed fingers. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we got the kid who loves Jackie Gleason and has a signed photo of him.
And a cameo by Leslie Van Houten.
True.
It was when she was out on parole for that year from 75 to 76. Yes. She actually got released for a year because they retried her because allegedly she didn't kill anybody.
Is she the one that didn't kill anybody?
She claims. She was the dainty little flower who stabbed Rosemary LaBianca 14 times post-mortem.
Wasn't there somebody who didn't kill anybody?
Yeah.
They stayed in the car.
Yeah,
I saw
so while she was out getting retried, she had a cameo in.
True.
You might have missed her. Anyway.
Oh, they also had the guy who didn't want to be there. He just kept saying, "They made me come. They made me come." And
what was
he
up
ate
with
marshmallows.
Maybe he was just regressing to. He never moved out of his parents' house, so he's still 14 years old. They made him go to summer camp every year, and now they're like, "Oh, well, now you got to go again."
Well, that's why this movie's confusing, because when the girls go to their cabin, which is they both live in cement brick houses. I don't know. They're not like cabins. The lady in charge says, "Okay, you guys are underage, so it's in bed by 9 and no men in here." And I was like, "Wait a minute, underage? You guys all look like adults to me."
You all look like you're 30 to me. And what an actress that counselor was. What an actress that counselor was. I love the random hand gestures. I think how they found her was she was playing the Mother Superior in a children's theater production of Sound of Music out in El Segundo. Only because they couldn't recruit enough kids to fill all the parts. And somebody saw her performing and they're like, "You're going to be in my movie. We're going to make you a star."
Do you remember her name?
No. I don't remember most of the names.
There's too many characters, and I'm not going to.
Because they could have had 4 characters. They could have had 4 characters and just random extras, just delivering lines here and there. They didn't need all those characters.
And these adult teenagers, they get to their cabin, and there's already topless women, posters of topless women all over the wall that they brought with them, I guess, or they were already there.
I don't know, Tim. Not explained properly.
No. And one guy, supposed teenager, he's got condoms and Vaseline, and his friend sees it, and he's like, "Oh, don't tell. It's a secret." And he covers it all up, and I'm like, well, I don't know what.
Yeah.
Condoms and Vaseline a secret?
Yeah, well.
John, did you keep those a secret at summer camp?
I kept a lot of things a secret when I was a teenager, Tim, let me tell you. And yes, Vaseline was one of them, and we'll just leave it at that. No, he was looking. He was looking for the love that dare not speak its name. Why else would you have? Come on, Vaseline and condoms. You know, I mean, come on.
I don't know. I'm a very innocent person.
Yeah, well, apparently so. Just trust me on this, Tim, and let's move on. Let's not dwell on this. Let's just not dwell on this. Let's move on.
This is the first time we see the boom mic. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It made many appearances. It was a character in the film.
It was a character in the. Actually, it did the best acting of anyone in this film, if you ask me.
Yes. Boom Mike was at the pool. It was at the campfire. Boom Mike was selling weed to the other kids. Speaking of the pool, they got the pool boy, who's supposedly a teenager, and he's already tired of having sex with ladies. This teenager is just.
Well, yeah. He says he's tired of being hit on. Why does everybody want to go on? Why does everybody want to hook up with the lifeguard? I'm like, yeah, he was quite naive. He was quite naive.
Or you're saying maybe he just, that was a hint he was not a straight. I don't know.
I don't know what it meant. I don't know. We'll get into that because that was a question I did have, but you know.
Yeah. Because at the end, they attack him for some reason.
They rape him, basically.
Because he's so,
The girl. So either that turned him straight, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
Come on, let's not spoil this movie. If you didn't see this movie, turn this podcast off and watch the movie because we're going to tell spoilers coming up.
And let me tell you, folks, really, I mean it. An hour and 38 minutes of your life you'll never get back.
God, I can't believe it was that long.
It was unnecessarily long.
All right. So what happens? They have a meeting about what they're going to do at summer camp. I don't understand his plan. They're going to have competitions. He still hasn't told them they're going to work on the camp.
Right. Like, is they're going to clean up and do painting and all sorts of stuff. There's
a lot of bad jokes. Anyway, they're all sexual, I think.
They're all sexual.
Let's just say.
This is how I think this movie came to be. Can I give my opinion, Tim, or am I interrupting you?
Sure. No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm thinking this movie came out the same year as Meatballs. So I'm thinking this was the genesis of this film. Somebody went to see Meatballs one week. The second week, they wrote the script, which was basically they found a notebook of all their crude sexual jokes from 9th grade and wrote a script based on that. Third week, they cast for it. Fourth week, they filmed it. Fifth week, they edited it. Sixth week, it was out. That was the genesis of this movie. There, no more. And you know what? I'm giving it 6 weeks. That may have even been a little too long.
I tried to find out how long it took to film this, but surprisingly, there's not much information online about this movie.
I think people just want to forget this movie. Do you know?
I went straight to the TMC website. Thought they'd have something. TCM is it?
TCM, yeah. But did you notice, like on the IMDb page, like of all the cast, there are only like 4 headshots, and like there are no headshots of any of the other actors. They're like none. Not even Ray Holland had a headshot.
He didn't. I thought maybe.
I don't think I saw one. Maybe I'm incorrect, but I don't recall seeing a headshot for Ray Holland.
So at this first meeting, he's obviously the John Belushi. Like, I'm a big funny guy.
Yeah,
they tried to make him funny, and he comes. His name is Horace, and he comes up to these 2 girls. He's like, you know why they call me Horace? And he unzips his pants, and thankfully doesn't take anything out of there. But the women are giggling like, this is hilarious. You're unzipping your pants in front of our faces because they're sitting.
Yeah.
So he never does tell us why he's called Horace. So I made a list. I don't want to get sued by Letterman.
Okay.
It's a top 9 list. Top nine reasons they call him Horse. This character, what's his name in the movie? Is Horse, right?
Horse. That's all I saw he went by.
And he's heavy-set John Belushi looking guy. Mm-hmm. So the number one reason they call him Horse, this was in the movie, John.
Actually, don't you start with 9 and work your way up? Oh, no, you don't want to get sued. Well, no, you're right. No. You don't want to get sued by Letterman. So let's do 1 to 9.
1 to 9. 9 being the best.
Okay.
9 being the funniest.
Like a 9 on the Richter scale. which actually would be terrible. But anyway, that's another story. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I've interrupted you long enough.
If you have one, feel free to add it. But number one reason they call him Horace is you can lead him to water, but you can't make him take a bath. The number 2 reason they call him Horace is because if he breaks his leg, people are allowed to shoot him.
Okay.
The number 3 reason why they call him Horace is because he lets little girls ride on him at birthday parties.
Ooh.
The number 4 reason, the 4th reason, is because he likes to take a big dump in the road during parades. They call him Horace. Number 5, people like to call him Horace because people like to pretend his leg is broken so they can shoot him. They call him Horace because, number 6, they call him Horace because he's never had sex with a human woman. The 7th reason everybody calls him the Horace is because everyone knows that one day they will make glue out of him.
Oh.
And number 8, because he can count to 5 if you give him a carrot. And number 9 reason people call him Horace is because he will, if you pet him and comb the dead flies out of his mane, he'll pull you around Central Park.
Oh.
And he'll also take a big dump in the road.
And also take a big dump in the road in Central Park. Okay.
There you go. Cue the canned applause for me here. I'll stick it in.
Stick it in later. That is brilliant. That is comic gold, Tim. Comic gold. And no, I don't have anything to add.
Well, what happens next in this plot? Again, turn this off if you haven't seen the movie. We're
Right,
going to get into more spoilers
here.
here.
You're going to be so disappointed.
So many spoilers.
Have we gotten to the song around the campfire, or is that still a little ways off?
I think I can't remember where that happened. Did the boys get their beds short sheeted first?
I can't remember if that was before or after. Let's say it happened after. Okay, so we'll talk about getting back to I'm going to say that we were going to say they were out at the campfire. Then they went back to their bunks. And they were short sheeted and the shaving cream was all over the place because that would have been at the end of the night when they were getting ready for bed. So no, I think the cheesy song, the lifeguard, the pool boy, Dick.
Yes. Was he singing?
He was the one singing.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, I've got this song to do. Can you put it in the movie?" And they said, "We'll put it in the movie if for the rest of the movie all you wear is a skimpy red Speedo."
Yes.
Which
I think the song was.
Which first of all, and where the steel guitars are coming from, I have no clue. Because he was just sitting there with an acoustic guitar like strumming. And all of a sudden there were like steel guitars and I don't know where all this was coming from. And it was just a really cheesy pseudo country song.
Well, the song was about please ladies, please stop hitting on me. I do not want to sleep with you anymore.
I want to sleep with your brothers. Yeah, no. And that like also kind of brought, okay, so like you're sending your 12, 13, 14-year-old daughter to this summer camp with, a good-looking, pretty well-toned young man in a very skimpy red Speedo. I mean, I think it's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, shouldn't they be wearing like swim trunks like down to their knees?
I think these kids were at least supposed to be 18. I realize they look 30, but it's supposed to be 10 years later, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt they were 18 because they were told they were underage. I don't know what underage is. This is California. Underage is 21? I don't know.
Maybe in 1979 it was 21. I don't know.
But, the ladies put shaving cream in their beds and Vaseline in their beds and short-sheeted them. Mm-hmm. And it took these guys quite a while. Like, one bed had shaving cream. They were upset. There was shaving cream on the walls. And I think they all went to bed. And then they all figured out they'd been short-sheeted and that they had all had Vaseline in their bed. Like, if one bed had Vaseline, I think the rest of you should check. And anyway, I think they hemmed and hawed for half an hour. And one of them had read a Sherlock Holmes novel. And they said, "Hey, I think the girls did this.
Let's go have a panty raid."
The girls either did it or the lifeguard. I don't know. But,
or Sasquatch.
Or Sasquatch.
Or
this
Sasquatch.
movie needs some Sasquatch.
This is when you need some Sasquatch in this movie.
This film was also filmed on the same film stock the Patterson film, Sasquatch film, was filmed on. I think Patterson filmed this movie.
Is that
And
where
then he went out.
Is that why it looked familiar to me? Okay.
Yes.
I thought it looked familiar. Okay, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Or like, the jet plane is going over and DB Cooper drops down into the camp. That would have been another. That would have been another awesome plot twist.
So, yes. So they panty raid the girls' cabin, and sexual assault happens pretty much on multiple levels. They tear their shirts off and steal them. I think they steal some underwear off the girls. So
yeah,
a lot of sexual assault. A lot of
I don't think this movie
problematic
would be getting
things
made in 2022. I really don't.
It would, but it's called Pornhub, John.
Is that what it is? Oh, okay. I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
I think this movie might have been it could have been rated X, but he's like, let's try the rated R audience. I don't know.
Well, okay, and that was going to be, again, and not to interrupt you, although I'm really interrupt you because I think whatever we say has got to be more interesting than this movie.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who would, where were they showing? Were they showing this movie in drive-ins? Were they showing it in theaters? And who would go see this movie? Teenage boys? It would be but you couldn't take a date to it. If you were a girl and a guy took you on a date and you saw this movie, you remember Taxi Driver with Travis Bickle, and he takes the Sybil Shepherd character on a date, and he takes her to the porno film, and it's
right.
And so the mother, she's this really Midwestern Christian mother. She's like, oh, so what'd you go see? Oh, summer camp, really? Well, here, I'm making muffins. You sit down and tell me every second of the film. I mean, where would you buy? Yeah, this is just, I don't know.
Well, Porky's, I think, made a lot of money. There was just a lot of teenage boys that went to see Porky's.
Yeah,
there were three.
Right.
Were there 3 sequels to Porky's? So,
I know of the 2. I know Porky's Revenge and Porky, and then I don't know.
You lost one of your DVDs. You had the collection. One DVD got lost.
I actually think I went to see one of those in the movie theater.
Well, just because you were high, right?
Higher than a kite. Higher than a kite. I think it was my senior year.
You didn't bring me?
I think I think you were in Pittsburgh. It was my senior year. It was my senior year. I was making up, that year. You were all gone. You had all gone off to find fame and fortune.
I think I remember a kid coming to class who had seen it. I think it came out, but
maybe the original Porky's. I'm talking about Porky's Revenge.
Oh man.
I think it was the second one, and I think it came out in 84 or 85. And yes, I think I was.
The story was just diluted by then, John. You gotta see the original.
It's true. Nothing ever, except for Godfather Part 2. Nothing surpasses the original. Nothing surpasses the original.
So on this panty raid, Horse wears some panties on his face as a mask, and I wanted to mention he wears it like a mask, just like Hentai Cayman, if I'm pronouncing that right. Do you know what Hentai Cayman is, John?
Could you spell it?
Hentai Cayman, Kamen. It's Japanese.
Nope.
Okay, it's surprisingly popular, but it is a superhero, a man. He wears girls' panties on his face, and he wears the little Speedo swimsuit that Borat wore.
Oh.
And there's anime and there's movies. I'll send you a link. You can see the trailer. It's pretty amazing. Anyway.
Amazing. Is that the word you're sticking with? Is that the adjective you're going with? Amazing. Okay.
It's very popular in Japan.
And just FYI, I looked it up very quickly. The original Porky's came out in 1981. The sequel, Porky's Revenge, came out in 1985. So, yes, I would have been a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. And probably I was higher than a kite, and somebody said, hey, let's go see Porky's Revenge. Do not ask me who. I have no clue. I don't remember, but I do remember sitting in a movie theater.
It's probably the vice principal.
Yeah, probably. Or the guidance counselor.
There was a science teacher in our school. I don't remember his name. He disappeared, and I knew. A few parents knew that he was getting handsy with a female student. And I remember him because he came into science class, and some kids were playing Everybody's Crazy About a Sharp Dressed Man, ZZ Top song.
Okay.
I forget if that's the title of the song. Sharp Dressed Man is the title.
Sharp Dressed Man is the title of the song, yes.
And he came in, and he was like a young teacher, and he was trying to be cool. And he was like, "What's he saying? Everybody's crazy about a sharp-dressed gay." And being at that, and this was in his 8th grade, where kids don't know what to say. And I remember that everybody went silent. Like, is that cool? Can we laugh at that?
Can we laugh at that? Is that okay? Can I ask my mom?
He continued.
Can I have a quarter and go to the payphone and ask my mom if I can laugh at this? Hey, Mom. Just asking, can I laugh at this joke?
Have you heard this song, Mom? Everybody's Crazy About a Sharp-Dressed Man by ZZ Top? And she wouldn't have heard it.
No, she'd be like, I don't know. You're crazy rock and roll, Tim.
They said parents surprise you. You know the song, come on, Romeo Void.
Romeo Void.
John, you remember Romeo Void?
Well, now I do. Now I do.
Parents will surprise you because I had a tape with different songs, and I had that song on it, and I knew, man.
It's all right. It's Brooklyn.
The police are coming because I'm talking about
Romeo Void. That has been illegal since right after Bush v. Gore, and then the Supreme Court. After Bush v. Gore, then the Supreme Court
Romeo Void.
Made Romeo Void a federal crime. Yes, I do recall that. Kind of got lost in the headlines after all that Bush v. Gore.
Yeah.
But it's true. It is
and that
true.
Van Halen song, "Hot for Teacher."
Oh, God.
Can't talk about that. But I had that on a tape, and I knew what the song was about. Do you know what it's about? Incest.
Well, now I do.
From what I've read, and my mom just out of nowhere, she goes, "That's terrible, singing about incest." What? I mean, you hear songs and you can't hear what they're saying. Sometimes you'll hear a song for years, and you're like, "Oh, that's what that song was about." And I'm like, "Geez, Mom, I had no idea you were on the ball with what that song was about."
Or maybe she had one up on you because there was an article in the Catholic Courier telling them about this song.
She's like, she heard Roxanne. She's like, "What? That's terrible, singing about a prostitute."
That's not right.
Then she heard Footloose, and she's like, "What a terrible town. I'm not allowed to dance. It's a terrible song." Then she heard Miss Piggy singing her song. And she's like, "That's terrible. Pigs and frogs having sex."
Pigs and frogs? That's not right.
What kind of stuff are you listening to?
What will their children turn out to be?
All right. Making this up as I go along.
I know. That's all you can do because we really got to fill in some time with this, Tim. I got to be upfront.
Well, John, here's the part where we see the boom mic again during the panty raid. I saw the boom mic.
All right. Okay.
The boom mic stole some panties from the one woman who was trying to have sex with everybody. I don't know if you noticed the boom.
Kim
boom
was her name. Yeah. That Kim. She was 18. Yeah.
Again, they're underage and they're having sex with the cooks, the doctor.
Yeah, the doctor,
the camp doctor who actually dresses like a doctor. He's a camp.
And all over, like he's wearing that he wears that lab coat all over. Like, they're having lunch. He's walking around the camp in the lab coat. He's, everything. He is wearing the lab coat no matter where he goes.
Stethoscope.
So yeah, exactly. So just so you don't forget, because there are a lot of characters in this movie, just so you don't forget that he is the camp doctor.
He was wheeling along that big light along with the X-ray machine. Yeah,
there you go. And really, there must be some malpractice suit pending where he can't practice medicine because, my gosh, if you're a doctor and that's the best job you can get.
All right. Where are we?
Oh, where are we, Tim?
Oh, they do some work somehow. They threw some garbage on the ground and they pick up garbage.
They pick up garbage and they paint a
tic-tac-toe
board. Yes, on the side of one of the buildings.
And they have their own competition. Do you remember? Did you know the competition of who? Well, they do have a real competition. It's always men against women,
right?
Which I think is unfair. It was football, men against women. It was
tug of war.
Men against women.
There was swimming.
Chess, men against women, which chess, men are always going to win. Come on.
Men are always
women don't know how to play chess.
Men are super. It's like when women tell me about giving birth. I'm like, really? Giving birth? If women can do it, how hard can it be?
Really? How hard can it be?
How hard can it be if women can do it?
Yeah. So anyway. The swimming.
You're going to think of it. You're going to really think twice about it. It's probably going to take you a week to decide whether. It's going to take. No, you're going to be like, do I leave it in?
I'm leaving it in. I'm just. Who will replace John on this show?
I am married to a woman.
Okay. What's her name, John?
No, you. I mean, you, Tim. I am playing Tim in this scene.
I see.
Like, do I leave it in? Because I am married to a woman.
We'll see what our engineer, Miss Lee, thinks too. Anyway.
She's never going to let you do this podcast again, is what's going to happen. This is like this. Tonight is the final episode of SETI BIMCO.
It is. So they have a competition. I don't know who wins. I think the girls won somehow.
There was a tie. Like it came to a tiebreaker.
Yes, because I think the boom mic, when the boom mic tried to swim against the women, it electrified the pool, and one of the girls died.
Yes.
So.
Yes, or
they had to drag her out of the pool, and they tried to resuscitate her, and they had a lot of awkward sexual jokes about that, but she died.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So but the other competition, they're having a feces contest. Who can
pitch the biggest turd, basically.
The biggest turd.
Yeah, and horse was up by an inch and a half or half an inch or something like that.
Yeah, like Horse didn't win. What was wrong with Horse that he didn't win that?
No, I think that girl who was having sex with everybody, I'll bet she could have given him a run for his money.
Her poop would be the biggest.
She was just nasty. She was just nasty. I mean,
she was very sex positive. Come on, John. This whole movie is sex positive.
She wanted everybody to think she was 18. She was 35 if she was a day.
And when she had sex with that man, he had his pants on the whole time.
His jeans, yeah. I guess maybe did he climax before he got out of his jeans? Was that the joke?
I guess. I guess.
I don't know.
Well, then they have a big party. They have one song with disco. The disco song. It was like a disco party.
Yeah, it was like gimme. Those were the lyrics. Gimme.
I wrote it down. Gimme love. Where is it? Oh, yes. Gimme Your Love was the song. It's the only song they could afford. It played throughout the whole party until people started going insane. Somebody went on a murder spree. I wish. That's
okay. Yeah, then that was like about halfway through this movie. I would have been like, now would have been a great time for somebody to say, hey, you know what? Let's make this a slasher movie.
Yes. But you know what they did do?
There were no sympathetic characters. Everybody would have been killed.
Nobody had a story arc. No one had a story arc except maybe Horse.
And even that arc.
Did he have sex with? Yeah, his arc was he finally had sex with.
He borrowed the van from the other guy.
He borrowed creepy guy who had the van full of carpeting.
Who also wound up having sex in the end.
Yes. There was, they tried for a joke that a woman was trying to have sex with him the whole time and he didn't know it.
You know what? The joke was that somebody was wanting to have sex with him the whole time and he didn't realize it.
So what this movie did have that would have vastly improved the Patty Duke movie?
Mm-hmm.
What happens, John? They have a food fight.
Yes.
Yes. Amazing.
That was the only problem with the Patty Duke movie. Not enough pies in the face.
But Patty Duke almost had a food fight. That's the problem there.
Almost, but almost doesn't cut it. That was the one thing that would have gotten the attention of Emmy voters. A food fight at the end. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the emotional crux of this movie, John. You
emotional crux. You said that with a straight face, Tim. The emotional crux. Okay, what was the emotional crux of this movie?
The camp owner's
summer
wife.
camp. So summer camp, aka an hour and 38 minutes of my life I'll never get back. What was the emotional crux of this movie, Tim?
The camp owner's wife. She was 35. Her life was over.
I caught that.
In 20 years, she'll be getting AARP letters.
In 20 years,
her life is over. She's crushing Hummels.
In 20 years, she won't be she won't even be our age.
Her life is over. She sits at home watching reruns of Maude. She doesn't know what to do. Yes. She's made so many mistakes.
I've made so many mistakes. I'm watching reruns of Maude, and I'm thinking of finding somebody I went to high school with to do a podcast. My life is in the crapper.
So what fixes her life? She has sex with a underage boy.
There you go. More power to her.
So anyway, Horse lighting up a joint was the best acting in the whole movie, though, because he dropped the lighter out of his cap, lit up a joint, and it was actually the only scene with human emotions, because there was no crude sexual jokes. He was just like, he got some pot that was going to make her want to sleep with him or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. And
it's the best you get with this movie.
And Horse was the only one who wound up having a career. So coincidence? I think not.
Right? So the movie ends. Oh, we forgot to mention there's a geologist at the beginning. He's looking for stuff.
Yes.
And at the end, they discover oil.
Yep.
And the owner says, we're saved. They found oil, but the camp is saved. But I'm like, no, you found oil. That means oil company is going to bulldoze your camp and turn it into a
would you really want, like, can you imagine
of fire?
That would be like our story. Like, we went to summer camp next to some oil rigs. You know, they were drilling for oil next. It's a real cheap summer camp. Yeah.
And did you notice at the end? I saw the beer. This movie was sponsored by Coors Light, the sponsor that we cannot get. I saw there was Coors Lights on the table,
and that's my fault. Yes, which I believe at the time was only available west of the Rockies or west of the Mississippi. Somebody knows that.
Oh, also at the end, they were walking on the beach at the end. I'm like, there was a beach nearby, and you guys stayed at this crappy campground the whole time. Did you notice that out of nowhere?
Yeah, well, they borrowed somebody's car, or maybe they got on the kid's bike. I can't remember now. Oh. Yeah, and they said, let's go to the beach. So maybe it was a little bit of a drive. I don't know.
Oh, you heard that?
There's just a lot of stuff you don't even bother asking about in this movie. It was like, let's get to the next scene with Bear Breast is basically what this story arc, using air quotes, involved. Was like, let's get to the next scene where we can show naked women.
Because basically, like, if they're eating lunch and they dropped ketchup on their shirt, it was important for the story that we go back to the cabin with the girl and watch her change her shirt. That was what happened in this movie, basically.
Right.
There was the party was a costume party. We had to go back and watch them change into costumes.
Basically sheets.
Yes. But any excuse to be naked. So anyway, that was it. And there was no story arc. Everybody was happy. Everybody who was unhappy when they came there was unhappy when they left, except for the camp owner's wife, because she slept with a underage boy. And she seemed to be the only person who came out on top in this movie.
Yeah. And, and then I think she wound up falling in love with her husband.
Not literally. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, oh, that is the opening for a joke. But we do not want to lower ourselves to the summer camp, AKA an hour and 38 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
When they had sex, I went to get a drink. I was like, oh, what's going on here?
It wasn't anything.
She was 35, John. I don't want to see an old lady have sex.
Do you want to see old women having sex? An old elderly spinster at the age of 35.
All the wrinkles.
Sex. Oh, it's disgusting. I haven't had sex since I was 28. It's just like I knew
those
I
big
was
bloomers
hideous.
She was wearing.
Yeah, I was hideous. I would have, yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah.
But guess what? Let's move along because you know what it's time for?
Is it time for a SETI quiz?
I'll call it
the SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes. I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The Bimco. I love quizzes.
Answering
Bimco.
I'll call it theme song. No.
All right. In this movie, who would fart in a crowded elevator intentionally? I think we know the answer. Horse. That's what I said. Horse.
Or you know what? Any of the guys. Well, let's go with Horse.
But Horse would be in there and he'd say, you know why they call me Horse? And they're like, why? And he'd say, because I fart in crowded elevators. And then he'd fart.
Yeah.
And then he'd crap on the floor.
And crap on the floor, yes. He not only would fart in the elevator, he'd crap on the floor of the elevator.
Like, and then he'd spray beer in a guy's face because he also did that in the movie a lot.
Yes.
Beer didn't seem to be an issue at the summer camp because they sprayed it in each other's faces whenever they had the chance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, who from this movie would have a podcast eventually? Do you have
I'm going to go with Dick the lifeguard. He would first of all get to play his guitar every week. That's how he'd open the podcast. And then his podcast would be about men can be sexually harassed too. Because poor Dick at the end of it, he had been accosted by, I guess, all 7 of those women was the innuendo.
in,
and he just
in a bouncy castle that we never saw before.
What the hell was that? Yeah, I know, the bouncy castle. I was going to ask, I was like, was that a bouncy castle? I didn't know.
I think some kid nearby had a birthday party, and I think they just
they stole
ran
it.
in there.
They stole it. Poor kid's parents had to forfeit the deposit and everything because they don't know where the bouncy castle is.
They don't know why it's all sticky now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, would he be straight or not? Or what would his story be on his podcast? You don't know. You said you were going to revisit that.
I don't know. I think that might be his. Maybe that would be a spin-off show, though.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the spin-off show would also be Dick, where he got accosted by 7 women at summer camp as a lifeguard in a skimpy red Speedo, and then he swore off women and moved to the West Village, started a drag show, and then the wackiness ensues.
Okay. I thought the person who have a podcast would be the owner's wife. Because she was in a very unhappy marriage, and after when the oil company came, her husband got greedy and he wanted more money, and her husband he mysteriously disappeared, wound up dead. So she got her half of the money, and she started collecting Hummels.
And
but there was a new fad right on the horizon. It was called Pac-Man, and she got Pac-Man fever. And she started playing in tournaments. She became a Pac-Man
Master?
expert at the elderly age of 36. It was the next
36.
Year. She'd come in her wheelchair, and everybody's like, "Ooh, here she comes, Pac-Man champion,
knocking on death's door." Old Lady Grundy. Look at her, 36 years old. Look at her, 36.
Yes, and they're at the Pac-Man Olympics, and she's up against the teenage guy she slept with, who's now 19. He's the other reigning champion.
She's totally lost interest in him now because he's legal.
Well, he's like, what happened? You're in a wheelchair. And she's like, well, that's what happens when you reach 36.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's true. It's true.
But he defeats her at Pac-Man. So she wandered around the rest of her life till she got a podcast where she wants to find out who murdered her husband. She doesn't really care about her husband.
Right.
But she just thought, this is a great idea for a podcast. Let's look into who murdered my husband.
Who murdered my husband. Yeah.
So with this, she did a lot for an elderly woman in a wheelchair. And
she really did. She's amazing.
36 year olds.
Life begins at the 37. Even though you're knocking on death's door, life begins at 36.
All right. Who would have a spin-off show? You have any ideas?
Well, I gave my Dick idea.
Well, this is a spin-off TV show.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, his spin-off TV show would be
he would have a TV show.
He wakes up
too.
molested in a bouncy house, and he moves to the West Village. And but who else would have a spin-off show?
That's the theme song. Is that the theme song? He wakes up in his bouncy castle. There's fun music playing,
and that cheesy pseudo country music is the theme. And he's like looking up at the skyscrapers in Midtown, and he's like, my new life is
running away from the bouncy castle.
He's running away from women in the bouncy castles. Had enough of that California life.
That sounds good. That's a good TV show.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, sure.
I thought it would be Horse and Sunglass Guy with a van. They would end up as roommates. And of course, they sell pot all the time out of their van it'd be like it'd be like a road buddy. They'd go from town to town selling marijuana to school-age children, and always one step ahead of the law. Those school-age children that look like they're 35. Yeah,
they're always getting 35.
Like, I thought you were old enough. You look like you're 35.
Just as the cops pull them to town, they're gone. On to the next episode.
And then they meet up with another van, and it's 2 Amish people on Rumspringa. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes,
You know,
yes, that's
Ron
where they're
Springer?
allowed to go. Is it for
Yeah.
a year? That's
Ron
where they're
Springer?
allowed to go. Is it for
Yeah.
a year? They're allowed to. Yeah.
And these guys join them, and they're so wild that horse and sunglasses, they can't take too much of them. You know, they're always stealing their pot and cock blocking them. They just can't take these rum.
So in the end, what happens is the Amish guys don't go back to the community, but horse and sunglass guy do.
Right. They go
And
back,
live
suddenly
their,
they're on.
they're like, that's it. We've seen the error of our ways. We've sinned enough. We are becoming Amish. We're just going to take your place. You take the van. Take the van. Take the van. Take all the weed. There's a road map in there. All the places we were going to stop. And we'll just go back to Lancaster County and farm.
They'd last 1 week, and and they'd see Horace wearing ladies' underwear on his face, and like, wait, what's going on?
Well, a horse could actually pull the plow. They wouldn't need a mule.
Oh, that's right. They'd just be mad horses always taking dumps in the road.
They don't care. They don't need to get a new. They don't need
That's
a new
true.
mule or.
They're Amish. They don't. Well, I don't mean to.
They don't care as long as they get. As long as
it's a farm.
as long as he's pulling that buggy, they don't care.
Send horse out in the field to fertilize the farm.
Exactly.
You're
Win-win
right.
for
Okay.
everyone.
Good one, John.
Thank you. That was just off the top of my head.
Can Maude defeat anybody in this movie? Stevie Nicks?
Maude defeats everyone.
Well, we got to see if we got mail. We did get a letter, and let me tell you, it's from Kevin Cablasto.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Cablasto sends letters into the Bat and Spider podcast a lot, and sometimes on Bat and Spider, they say, well, we're not reading this letter. And I think we got one of those letters where I'm like...
Wait, because we're not reading it because it's Kevin Cablasto?
Because
or we're just not reading it?
Well, I'll read it, and I'll edit it out. It says, hi, John and Tom.
John and Tom.
I bet you didn't know that Sean Astin, the stupid hobbit, was the son of Patty Duke. I bet you also didn't know that she was a huge and was also with Gomez Adams himself, John Astin. Even though John Astin wasn't Sean's bio dad, who is Michael Tell, he says, it doesn't change the fact that Patty was still a huge mother. She had 26 ex-husbands over the course of 4 years and was pregnant 16 times. Love the pod, Cablasto. So there you go. Miss Lee, can we read this letter? Can you talk to legal?
That part, I mean, I knew about, like you didn't know that Sean Astin was her son. Well, duh, Kevin Cablasto, that she was married to Gomez. But no, 26 divorces and 16 pregnancies. And what was it, 5 years? No, I did not know. She didn't have that in the autobiography.
Kevin Cablasto, I think your facts are wrong.
Yeah, Kevin, before you start publishing letters on respected podcasts,
where's our producer?
Before you start sending letters to Peabody Award eligible podcasts,
yes,
think twice. Seti Bimco. Mr. Cablasto. That your ad can be Peabody Award eligible.
Cablasto's on some podcast called Spaghetti and Freddy. I sent him an appropriate letter, John. I can't wait to hear him read it.
Okay.
I thought of different names for when they run out of Friday 13th. When they run out of Freddy movies, what are they going to call it?
Well, now I got thinking about that. And I don't know if this would work for them, but there are 44 episodes of the TV series Freddy's Nightmares.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe he's going to surprise us.
So there you go. You got
maybe
44 episodes.
We got the scoop.
There you go. I'm thinking, Kevin Cablasto, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Kevin Cablasto. All right. So we watched a porno movie today, and we talked about it, and I think we got to get out of here.
I think it's time.
You can email
us. Where do they send an email to him?
Email us at SetiBimco with an E at Gmail. SetiBim, at SetiBim on Twitter. Seti_Bimco on Instagram. And if you have a story about high school you want to tell us, email Like email part of it. Don't tell it all. We like to have some surprise.
We don't have time for this.
No, it's not that.
I
have so many emails to read.
Not when we're running a Peabody Award eligible podcast.
Yes.
We do not have time to be reading.
Follow us and like us and review us. And hey, the best character in this movie, if you watch this movie, you'll agree with us. The best character was the boom mic. Okay?
The boom mic.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, John.
All right, Tim. You have a great week.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank goodness. Bye.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.